thrill me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
Heyo, and welcome to the Review of Rob show. I am your host, Review of Rob, coming at you on this very spooky edition of the show. Okay, not really. It's mostly a DC show. I have a lot of DC news, but I go spooky because we're in the middle of spooky month, right? October. And the review for this episode is going to be Halloween Ends. Can't wait to talk about that and get my thoughts on that as we go throughout the episode. Appreciate you hitting the play and listening along. Hope you like the episode and subscribe to the show so you can get all the notifications when the show pops up as well. Please follow the Throw Me Podcast Network. Give that a like and subscribe so you can get all the notifications of all the shows and things we got going on the Throw Me Podcast Network. That being the Metal Groove on Mondays, the Haunters Podcast on Mondays. You've got my show on Tuesdays. You got the Mr. Wonderful show on Wednesdays. And you got Improper Guidance on Thursdays, man. Solid shows, and again, appreciate you taking the time to listen to us all, and hope you enjoy all that. Head over to our YouTube, the Throw Me Podcast Network on YouTube. Give that a like and subscribe. You'll find some awesome stuff on there, including a brand new review. You're going to hear my thoughts on Halloween Ends, but you're going to hear a huge fan's thoughts of Halloween Ends, as in a huge fan of the Halloween series. Mr. Zach, as well as the lovely and talented Brooke from Haunters Podcast, they do a talk and review of Halloween Ends on the Throw Me Podcast Network right now. Be sure to go over there, watch that, give it a view, and listen to their thoughts, man, because it'll be very, very interesting to see if they changes your opinion on anything or not, because they give some very, very, very valid points to their review. So, gonna talk my review in a moment. Hadn't really been up to much of anything, really. Had a little busy weekend, but when it wasn't busy, I got to do some WWE 2K play, and hopefully, fingers crossed, if everything continues to work out right, I'll be able to live stream WWE 2K for the first time in a while, man. But I got another one of the packs, that includes Rob Van Dam. I did the finger gestures like you could see me on video right there and then. I'm a weirdo, dude. I am a special person. But got that, so hopefully I'll stream that soon, and there's a couple more packs I need to get for the WWE game to stream, and then thinking of other ideas to stream on the Throw Me Podcast Network with that game, thinking of like my own like brands and all that stuff. We'll see what ends up happening, but we'll see. That should hopefully come soon. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the review for this episode, that being Halloween Ends, the final film in the Halloween franchise. Big air quotes around that, but definitely the final film of the Laurie Strode, Michael Myers story. So let me go ahead and cue up the trailer, and then I'll be back with my thoughts on the end of Halloween.
Come and get me, motherfucker. No!
Ooh, what a trailer. All right, so like I said, this is the final film of the Laurie Strode Michael Myers storyline, a story that's been going on for over 40 years. The very first film came back out, released for the first time in 1978. It started the whole slasher movement, the iconic slasher film, the iconic killer Michael Myers, and introduced us all to Jamie Lee Curtis, who is of course the Scream Queen. I don't care what anybody says, she is absolutely the Scream Queen. So go ahead and go into synopsis and rating and all that. Halloween Ends is rated R, as it should be, for gore, bloody horror, violence, language throughout, and some sexual references. The movie is classified as a holiday horror film and is 1 hour 51 minutes, okay? It is in theaters and streaming on Peacock. This is Laurie Strode's last stand. After 45 years, the most acclaimed, revered horror franchise of film history reaches its epic, terrifying conclusion as Laurie Strode faces off for the first time against the embodiment of evil, Michael Myers, in a final confrontation unlike any captured on screen before. Only one of them will survive. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a critic score of 40%, while the audience has given it a 57%. Over at IMDb, it is at a 5 out of 10, making it a 50% over there. And like I said, before I go into my review here, I'm going to try not to spoil anything. I never plan on spoiling any movies. May talk about a couple things here, so if it gets a little spoiler, sorry. But nothing. I'm not gonna spoil what happens. Well, maybe I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. If you don't want spoilers, stop listening. I'll come back in 10 minutes or so. Um, but if you want a good, full-on, awesome talk review, again, go check out Zach and Brooke over on the Throw Me Podcast Network. They did a full-on review, long review, and it's all awesome, every single second of it. So check that out. Give them the watch and listen to their thoughts on the film because some good stuff over there. For me, how I felt about the film, Halloween's probably my second favorite horror franchise, second only to Chucky, of course. Love the Child's Play franchise, always have, always will. That was my introduction to horror. I've always loved the character of Chucky and all that stuff, so it's always gonna be there. But after that, man, always been Michael Myers. Love Michael Myers. It's an interesting character, it's an interesting study. The embodiment of evil and why and all that stuff, and it's just menacing and just blah blah. Of course, some of the films, get a little out there. But and of course, I love the Rob Zombie films, which is one of those things. That trend that goes around that shows the picture of, I don't know the kid character's name. I think it's like Finn or something like that from the Tangled movie, and it's got all the swords pointed at him. It's like, what gets this reaction from what horror movie what horror take do you have gets this reaction? Apparently, it's me in Rob Zombie's Halloween films. But I enjoy those films. If I'm going to pick a Halloween film to watch, it's always Rob's. But I do love the classic film. I always throw that on, and then the series has gone through its many changes from the Laurie Michael storyline to the Jamie storyline to the back to Laurie and Michael storyline to the Rob Zombie films to the all that stuff. And then you finally got this new trilogy that is a direct sequel to the original film from '78. Knocked it out of the park right away with 2018. Fantastic movie, strong movie, great comeback, just all of that. I'm not just saying that because it was filmed in my home state and I've see, places that it was filmed driving by. Like I literally drive by the gas station every single day. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a very good, solid film. And then Kills came out. Kills was met with, backlash and all that stuff. But, I enjoy parts of Kills and I don't enjoy parts of Kills. That's just me. And then, so going into Halloween Ends, I was a little like, okay, I didn't know what to expect. And then, when they announced that I was going to be streaming same day as theater release, I'm like, okay, maybe they're a little worried about their product not making money in theaters because of the reaction to Halloween Kills, which I need to go back and watch Halloween Kills. I think I've watched it 2 or 3 times since my opinion has changed a lot about that movie. I don't ever want to hear Evil Dies Tonight again. And I'm so glad they didn't say it again in the Halloween Ends film. If they didn't catch it. But going into Halloween Ends, I was like, I didn't know what to expect because again, they're saying it's the end. If you've been watching horror movies for long enough, you know that franchises never really necessarily end in the horror realm. They'll take some time off, they'll come back, and Michael Myers is an iconic character. There's no way that you won't see the character again. But then they started changing it up. It's the end of Laurie and Michael's storyline. So you're like, okay, one of them's dying, and more likely it's going to be Laurie, right? So, that was the thoughts going in. And you're gonna, if you're a Michael Myers fan and all that stuff, you're going in there for that, and then you're going in, you love Jamie like me. I think I said on my last episode, Jamie Lee Curtis is probably my favorite actress of all time. And just seeing the end and the conclusion of the story is enough of a sell on its own. Again, even with the aforementioned, it's a horror movie, they always come back. You know, uh, there's a different feeling going into this movie because you see what they're doing. And you've noticed from the other two films and going into this one, you could tell there's a story that they're building and what they're trying to connect everything and close everything at the same time. That's why you got the ends part of the whole trilogy. So click on the movie to watch it. Watched it on Peacock with my brother, Tombstone Josh, again, as the host of the Metal Groove podcast. He and I decided to watch it. I think it was Thursday night. It was Thursday night, so the day it came out, which I was surprised. I was not expecting it to be on Peacock Thursday night. I was like, if anything, it's gonna be on Peacock at like 3 a.m. Because we're on the East Coast. So it's like, I'm not gonna stay up and watch that. But there's a football game on. It was freaking horrible, and we're like, okay, what else is to watch? And just like, hey, let's just go to Peacock and see if it's there already. Why not? And then it was there. We're like, freaking hey, awesome. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and start this. And right from the start, with the music playing at the beginning, I got the Rob Zombie vibes. And again, I mentioned earlier, Rob Zombie's Halloween is my favorite Halloween film. And I got the vibes with the music playing. And then there's a scene later on in the movie that's like a dance scene and a party scene in like a bar and all that stuff. And like Rob Zombie 2, Halloween vibes yet again. So it's like those parts I really enjoyed and all that. But the film starts and we're introduced to this new character, Corey Cunningham. And I'm going to be honest with you, the film primarily focuses on Corey. Like it's mostly Corey's story. I've only watched the film once, so again, like I said, go check out Zach and Brooks' review. They have more information for you. But from what I was watching, I was like, I wasn't getting why we're introducing this new character. It's off of just one watch. Again, I watched it a couple times, and my opinion may change. But I don't know why we're doing this wrap up story. And we're introducing this new character to the whole story now. We're like, it's an interesting idea. But with that said, didn't hate it, right? Didn't hate it all. The actor's fantastic. The actor's doing a great job. The character's interesting, and where it ends up building and seeing his character interacting with Michael, which I believe they show in one of the trailers. So not necessarily a spoiler, but the way they interact and everything reminds me. And I don't hate where they went with it either. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, so I'm the vaguest of vagues here. Um, I don't hate where they went with it. I think it builds off of the mystery of Michael Myers, because Michael, and pull up Dr. Loomis's quote here from the first film. I'm going to quote the whole thing. I don't know. Actually, I don't need to quote the whole thing. So he said, part of his quote is, I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simply evil. And watching this movie and seeing the scene between Michael and Corey, like I felt that pure and simple evil behind the eyes of Michael Myers thing, because it always seems like Michael just straight up evil, right? Of course, the Rob Zombie film gave you a backstory um, to Michael, which I think is perfectly fine and makes sense. Um, but this storyline, the original storyline, was always the mystery of why did Michael do it? What happened with Michael? And there's always just this feeling of there was this evil that attached itself to Michael, like used Michael as a conduit, if you will, like a demon uses Annabelle. Um, so the scene happens between those two, and it was easy for me to put together that, okay, the devil's eyes, the darkness between the eyes, they're locking eyes together. I can see it. I can see where they're going with that, and it made sense. Like it didn't take me away from anything at all. And I was saying when I was giving you the synopsis there and the early stuff about it, the 1 hour 51 minutes, it didn't feel that long at all, to be honest with you. It was easy enough to follow along with. Um, So while it's a question mark for me as to why we're introducing this new character and putting the focus on this character as opposed to keeping the focus on Laurie and Michael, I have the question there, but it didn't ruin the movie for me in any way. It's like, okay, this is an interesting story. And my connection to that as well, and Zach brought up a fantastic point on his show about how the credits are very Halloween 3, the season of the witch. Fantastic pull there. I didn't think about it. It looked familiar, but I wasn't going there in my thought process. Um, but it was interesting to me hearing him say that because my thoughts when seeing this movie and the thing that I kind of put together afterwards, after seeing the movie, is that in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, they very much made sure that you saw the silver shamrock mask in those movies, right? Much more so in Halloween Kills than Ends, because in Kills as opposed to 2018, because in 2018 it's like a couple of kids wearing them while trick or treating. Um, and Halloween Kills, if I remember correctly, it's like a bunch of kids playing at a park and everything. You see the mask, and then Michael later uses the mask because Michael, he's a prankster. Um, he's a prankster for sure, and he puts them on the dead bodies and all that stuff. But in this film, I don't remember. And again, there's only one watch. I don't remember seeing those masks at all in this movie, and I found that interesting because like one of the theories going into this film is, oh, Michael's an android because of Halloween 6 and all that stuff. And there's like, oh, they're doing the Silver Shamrock stuff in the other two movies. Maybe he is an android from Silver Shamrock. But the thing I thought about, and hearing Zach's thoughts with the credits there, the thing I thought about going into this movie and after watching this movie is that it stands out as a different film in the franchise because again, it is more focused on Corey than it is Michael. And it's going to stand out in a way that Halloween 3 stood out before. Now, of course, it's more Michael. This is more of a straightforward, Halloween franchise film as opposed to Season of the Witch, which doesn't have anything really to do with Michael Myers other than a commercial. Um, I I I found that interesting that the film didn't. Again, if it is in there, I didn't see them, but the masks weren't anywhere in this movie, and I just found that interesting because it just feels like that lead up, right? It feels like the other two films have the mask in it, this one doesn't, and it just it gives you that Halloween 3 vibe where, Halloween 3 is different from the franchise, and now this film is different in its own way from the franchise as well. And that just kind of clicked in my head there. So it's pretty, I don't know, I found that interesting. Um, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about Allison in the film. Allison's one of my favorite characters, and I feel like her story arc, and I'll give you what I would have wanted from the ending, because I think that's probably one of the parts that's you run into with all these movies. We saw it earlier this year with Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, where people make up their own things in their head of what they want to see, and when they don't see that in the film, they immediately hate the movie. Um, so I think there's probably an ending that people wanted to see in this film that they didn't get, and that is making them give the thumbs down to it. And then of course the Corey thing is throwing people off. Um, which I think the Corey thing, the more I think about it, is more of an idea of the evil that lives in that town, the town of Haddonfield, which I think they touch on. I think Zach and Brooke touch on that as well. Um, so the ending of the film, I'm not going to full on spoil it, but there's definitely a definitive end here as far as the characters go. But yeah, back to Allison. I don't know how this is how my brain works. That "Let's Get Twisted" song, I'm because I don't script out what I'm going to talk about here. I just kind of go. Like when I do this show, I just go. The only thing I copy and paste the synopsis of the film and all that stuff and the critic scores, and then when I get to the news part, just bits of like the title and bits and pieces of the news, and then I'll just riff off of it. So my thoughts, and again, this is off of one watch, so my thoughts are still kind of scatterbrained. Um, but Allison, to me, because you had the Laurie's trauma from the original movies, but Allison has so much trauma going into this movie. You think about it, in the first film, dickhead boyfriend, right? Um, Friend hits on her, that creeps her out. She leaves him. Then, he gets freaking killed. And so she goes back and she sees him dying on a fence. Her dad gets killed in the 2018 film. You go to Kills, freaking, she's trying to fix the relationship with, if I remember correctly, she's trying to fix the relationship with the boyfriend. I don't know if they're actually back together. I don't know. I don't remember a lot of kills, but I know there's still the connection there. And then, he gets killed, and she sees him get killed in front of her. Her mom gets killed in that movie. Like a bunch of trauma going on with Allison. Going into this movie, I think there's what, a 4 year uh, time difference between this and Kills, right? So yeah, it's 4 years, and they're putting their lives back together. Lori is writing a book. She's getting through her trauma, seems to be rebuilding and doing better, but there's still bits and pieces there. But for the most part, seems to be doing better. And Allison is trying as well. Um, she ends up meeting the Corey character because of her mom, Lori. Um, and Corey and Allison end up having this thing. And I gotta wrap my head around the 4 years part because obviously, like I just mentioned, all that trauma Allison's gone through within the last couple years. You know, um, I mean, this is 4 years after she's lost both of her parents in front of her, dickhead boyfriend died, all that stuff. You know, and she's trying to live her life and get back out there, and it's just, and then she has to deal with the Corey situation, all that stuff. Like it's the Allison character. Like I'm processing everything. That's why I keep pausing and stopping while I'm talking. I like processing as I talk. Keep it real. um, I like that character. I like her a lot, and I said I was gonna give my perfect ending for the Halloween film. Before I get there, I think the movie's fine. Like I mentioned earlier with Kills, I was left with a weird taste with that movie. With this movie, no weird taste whatsoever. I enjoyed the movie from start to finish. Did not feel like an hour and 51 minutes. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a different take. It's a interesting decision to do in the final film with the storyline, but at the same time, why not? It's the director's way of making films. He likes to take those turns. Like I think everybody in the film. I mean, Jamie's always great, right? Uh, Andy, who plays Allison, she's fantastic, of course. Um, and then Corey, and I should know his real name. Let me look up his real name real quick. Let's see. Halloween ends. Corey, who I kept freaking trying to figure out who he looked like. Rowan. He he's good as well. Hey, the score changed. Score changed on IMDb, by the way. While I was just looking up this, it was 5 out of 10. It's now 5.1 out of 10. So it's going up. It's going up, man. Wow, it changed on Rotten Tomatoes too. Wait a minute. Rotten Tomatoes score is down to 39% critic score. Okay, audience score still at 57%. Um, Interesting. I mean, this can be changing along the way, and as it goes on, I think it'll keep changing. I think the way that Season of the Witch was met, where it's got like its cult following now, I think Halloween Ends will get its cult following as well. As more time passes, again, I think it's more of people didn't get the ending they wanted, so we'll see. Um, where's I going with this? Okay, so the ending of the film is fine. I enjoyed the film. I didn't have a problem with this movie. To be, I have questions more than anything. I don't have hate for the movie in any way. I just have questions. I have questions, which I wish I could have been on the freaking review talk with Zach and Brooke, which I was supposed to be, and I just missed it. Unfortunately, missed it. But I have questions I would want answered. But again, watching their review earlier helped solidify some things for me. But I mean, the movie's fine. The movie's it's fine. I'm not gonna sit here and bag on it. I don't get all the hate that it's getting. Like I enjoyed what I got from it. And I'm trying to avoid spoiler talk. I don't want to talk spoilers too much. Maybe maybe I will. You know what? I'll give a little bit of spoiler talk, but I'll time frame it in the description so you know when to come back. If you don't want to avoid spoilers, if you're not worried about spoilers, let's freaking go. But before we go into that, overall, enjoyed the movie. I think it's perfectly fine. I liked it more than Kills, um, and I'm still forming an opinion around the movie itself. Like I said, I'm still trying. Like the Allison character, like she was too quick. It seemed to fall in love with the Corey character. But at the same time, she finally got something good in her life after a while. So, and it's been 4 years. It's been no Michael. So there's been nothing to really further her trauma. So I think she's rebuilding, and then you see, as I'm gaining the time of talking about the movie and all that stuff. Okay, so my perfect ending before we go into spoiler talk. The ending I wanted going into this movie is I would have had. It's gonna sound insane, I know. I would have had Michael kill Lori right at the beginning, or close to the beginning of the film, and I would have had the rest of the film building to Allison getting the revenge. Because again, Allison's lost everybody. This Michael Myers character has taken everything that she's loved from her. Her dad, her mom, even the troubled relationship with her dickhead boyfriend. Um, he's taken everything from her. And I would have liked to see the movie build around that and have at the end Allison getting the final kill and ending the Strode Michael Myers storyline, the Laurie Strode Michael Myers storyline right there. Allison being the final girl. She's the new final girl of the Halloween franchise, and that's it. That's the way I would have wanted it to go. Do I hate the film for not going that route? No, it's perfectly fine. They didn't go that route. They had their own story that they were telling, and I think that's something people forget is that the people creating the movie have their story, and they know what they're doing. Whether it's what we want or not is irrelevant. It is their story that they're telling, and we're paying to watch. It sucks that we don't get what we want. Sure, this is a universal feeling, but doesn't mean you have to bash the film and hate on the film and all that stuff. It's like, they went a different route than I would have gone. It's the wrestler, the WWE fan in me as well, where I was like, I would want that person to be champion, but they're not champion. Okay, whatever. I'll keep watching. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not booking the show. It's okay. It's okay. Like I felt the film did what it needed to do. I still, it's a big question why we bring the Corey character in this film and then focus mostly on him. But at the same time, I think when you break everything down and you look at it, you realize it's more about the town of Haddonfield and how the town can destroy a person. You know how how the evil can get to you. So there you go. I think the movie's fine. If you have Peacock, watch it there. If you're apprehensive about watching the movie because you've seen all the bad reviews, if you have Peacock, watch it there. Do a free trial. Check it out. But I suggest getting Peacock because Peacock's pretty damn good. Okay, so going into spoiler talk in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so not going to talk a whole lot of the film here. I like what they did story wise with Jamie and Corey, Laurie and Corey. Because at the beginning, like I said, most of the film focuses on Corey, right? So you see what he's gone through. You see the trauma of how his life has gone since the start of the movie. So the movie starts, he's babysitting a kid. The kid locks him in a closet, right? He is yelling at the kid to let him out because he's got like claustrophobia going on. He's freaking out. He starts kicking the door. The parents are coming home. They hear him say, "I'll kill you." He kicks the door open. Door hits kid. Kid falls down the stairs, falls over the balcony of the stairs, dies. Right. So he's forever known as the child killer, but he wasn't convicted of it because it was an accident, obviously. But he's known as the child killer and all that stuff throughout the town. The town's always treating him like crap and all that stuff. He's just trying to live his life and get away. He, in happenstance, comes across Michael Myers, and they go. And Michael Myers is like underground, essentially. He's like under a bridge, under a tunnel, under the bridge in this area, which reminded me a lot. And there's two reminders that I have of this. And if Zach is listening to the show, I hope he gets this as well. Um, there's two things that I thought about immediately during two scenes in this film, and it's Friday the 13th, the remake, Friday the 13th, 2009 or whatever. Um, was it? I don't know. It's 2000. It's early. It's in the first 2000s. 2009. So to me, it is not 100% the same, but when Michael was under the tunnel and in that, you go through the pipe and all that stuff, he's down there like freaking Mario. It reminded me of like the little bunker setup thing that freaking Freddy had going on under that bus and all that stuff. It's all under the camp. Freddy, fucking Jason, Jesus, Jason. What Jason had going on in Friday? I was thinking Friday, and I said Freddy. Sorry. Can talk about Freddy Krueger later, actually. But it reminded me of that. Like for some reason, it just felt like that. And how you see Jason, he's got his own setup under the camp and all that stuff. It's like it kind of felt like that with Michael. He had his own little area down there. So those two come in contact. They look in each other's eyes. Michael grabs him by the throat as he's trying to get out of there. Um, and then, he looks in his eyes and he sees the past of what he's been going through, what the character's been going through, what Corey's been going through. And to me, my immediate thought was, I don't get it. And the reason I don't get it is because it was an accidental kill. As opposed to when Michael killed at a young age, it seemed very on purpose. Now, of course, when you go and look back and everything, and you look at the movie now, and you see when they take the mask off him, you can see that blank expression on his face, as in he doesn't know what's happening. And you start thinking about it more, and you think about what Loomis said about the evil in his eyes, pure and simple evil, and then you piece that together, and you see that the evil in Michael is now transferring to Corey. That's what I'm getting from it. That's when, because all that stuff, because Corey changes after that, and he wants to know how Michael kills, and he wants to be like Michael, and he wants to be the new Michael, and all that stuff. There's some things I'm like, why is he taking why does he have more power over Michael? But that's probably because the evil was moving, like the conduit. There's a new conduit here. Corey's the new conduit. Um, so and all that stuff, but of course, we'll get to the end. But yeah, so that was as more I think about the movie, the more this stuff starts coming into mind to me. So it's the evil behind Michael was transferred to Corey. Saw that Corey killed already. See the way Corey's treated, so might as well become the killer. The evil transferred. Okay, that makes sense. So the rest of the film, Corey and all that. But I like what they did with Laurie and Corey as well, because Laurie, at the beginning of the movie, when she meets Corey, she helps him out. He's being bullied. She helps him out. She gets the bullies away from him. They slash a tire together, all that stuff. Um, Laurie, she sees no evil in the kid. The kid's fine, right? And she would know because she's been dealing with evil for 40 plus years. Over 40 years. That's what 40 plus means, you idiot. But God, I love me. But they're doing that and all that stuff, and then after Corey meets Michael and Laurie runs into Corey and saying Laurie and Corey back to back, holy hell. And she can start seeing the change in him. She can start feeling that change, like her freaking, like she's got a Peter tingle, right? Freaking, yes, Review It Rob just freaking referenced a Marvel movie. You damn right he did. They do the Peter tingle instead of the spider sense. They call it the Peter tingle. She has that sense. She's got freaking shape sense. Ooh. Um, oh my God, I'm an idiot. But she has that feeling about him and all that stuff, and then the rest of the movie goes from there. I like that, man. I like that they did that. That's gives you more to how badass Lori is, because you already seen her, like she's ready to fight and she's ready to battle and all that stuff, but that she has this sixth sense of knowing when there's trouble and knowing that something's wrong. Um, I didn't like her and Allison fighting, because again, like I mentioned before, Allison, they're all they have is each other now, and they're fighting all that stuff. And this Corey person comes in here and just changes everything. Again, if you want to dive into it, Allison's finally has something to love other than her grandma for once. For a long time after going through everything she's gone through, so I kind of get it there, but I didn't like that. I didn't like those two having that problem with each other and letting this boy get in the way. Um, but I like what they did. So the ending, Corey gets the mask. He gets the Michael Myers mask. He's there. He's going to kill Laurie. Laurie is ready, of course. She gets the mask off of him and all that stuff. Allison's on her way. Corey decides to off himself to make it look like Laurie killed him. Laurie and Allison again have some issues there because Allison thinks she just killed Corey. So Allison leaves and all that stuff while Corey's bleeding out. And then we see Michael's there. And then again, Laurie with her freaking shape sense senses it, and they have a freaking battle, and they freaking battle, dude. Like, it is a good thing. Callbacks galore to the other movies here. But yeah, they battle it out in that kitchen. Like, that kitchen, I don't care. I didn't need them to be anywhere else. Like, they were battling. Like, it's how it would be if that happened in real life. You're not going to be traveling all around the place. You know, you're going to be in that one area battling for your life to get out of there, and that's what they did. Um, and I'm fine with the ending. What we got here, Laurie gets the upper hand, gets him freaking crucified to the kitchen table, uh, killing him left and right. He is almost there, but Allison comes to her senses after hearing that the cop called her because Laurie report called in a suicide. Um, because Laurie was, yeah, anyways. Called in a suicide and all that. So Allison hears that. She sees what's going on in the town. Finally comes to her senses. Goes back, stops Michael because Michael has his hand on Laurie's throat, about to choke her out. Laurie's accepting it. She's like, "Go ahead, let's both die together." Allison gets there, stops it. They slit his wrist, so he's bleeding from his neck. He's bleeding from his wrist, like he's bleeding out. He's done. No green, yellowy gook, so he's not an android. They freaking again crucify him on top of the car. Essentially, have a parade with Haddonfield, and they're going to a junkyard. And this is where the second part of my Friday the 13th part kicked in, because at the end of Friday the 13th, 2009, spoilers for that movie, they get a chain, wrap it around Jason, throw it into a grinder, I guess is what you call it. I don't know tools. It's like a grinder that you can, like a wood chipper or something like that. And it pulls him in there and starts, eating the back of his head. This film, they push Laurie, which is good, just end it with Laurie and Michael, right? So Laurie pushes his lifeless, dead body into the grinder, if you will, and we see him just get grinded. We see Michael get grinded up and just thrown away. So unless they did the freaking Halloween Resurrection trick where, somebody else was in the mask, we already saw it wasn't Corey. We know he's dead and gone. And we're positive it's Michael, because she takes the mask off of him, which is again a callback, I think, to Halloween H2O, where she takes the mask off of him, making sure it's not him, because she just dealt with it with Corey, and then she's dealt with it before in H2O, which this movie doesn't necessarily tie to H2O, so maybe not, but at the same time, they're doing these Easter eggs in the film, so maybe still. So pushes him in that grinder. He's done for sure. Movie ends, and we see Michael's mask on Laurie's table. So she kept the mask, of course. But that was my callback to Friday the 13th as well. So 2 callbacks Friday the 13th wise for me. But it's in spoiler talk, right? Okay. I enjoyed the film. No doubt about it. I think it's a fine film. It's a different take than would have been expected, especially after that trailer I just played and watching that trailer. Um, but at the end of the day, I think the movie did what it needed to do. It ended the story, and we're now moving to wherever it moves from here. Michael's gone, so I guess we reboot the franchise. Give Rob Zombie a third film. I don't know where they go from here, but there'll definitely be something Michael Myers down the line. And the movie hit #1 in the box. Spoiler talk ends at 38. I don't know. Spoiler talk 38. 12. All right. Movie hits. Let me write that down because I'm for sure going to forget that. Movie, it ends the way it did. It hit #1 at the box office, which was the sixth film, horror film to be #1 at the box office this year. So good on them, man. But there you go. That's my thoughts on Halloween Ends. Spoiler talk, all that good stuff. All right, so let's jump into news. Wow, I talked a lot more about Halloween Ends than I expected. All right. News time. Gonna try to get through this quickly because this episode is running pretty late. A lot of DC news. A lot of things happening with DC right now. It is Black Adam week. I'm so stoked and excited about that. Finally got a DC film to watch. First one in a while, man. I think the last DC film that came out was League of Super Pets. I haven't watched that yet. And we, of course, had The Batman earlier this year, which is a fantastic film. Still in my top 3 films for the year. There's only one more movie left, I think. Off the top of my head, I think. The only movie left for me that I'm anticipating, it's not going to hit my top 3. My top 3 set, man. But maybe this movie can get my top 10, and that is Black Adam. We'll see how things go with that movie. Avoiding spoilers as much as possible. Bought my ticket already. Bought my ticket last week. Thursday night showing as soon as I get off work, going to theater to see it. Trying to avoid spoilers. I think I've already seen one, which sucks, but what can you do? Freaking shitty ass people live in this world today. But nonetheless, a lot of stuff going on in DC this week as well. A lot of news that came out today before recording. Like a lot of stuff is going on with DC right now. There's a lot of just building, like they're building things and where we're going from the future. So, like I said, Black Adam hits this Friday. It's anticipated, expected to make a good amount of money, like all that stuff. But Black Adam is hitting this Friday, and there's other DC film stuff going on. Apparently, Walter Hamada, who has been the head of DC Films for a while now, which has been controversial if you ask. If I remember correctly, he and Ray Fisher did not get along too well, so he no longer being part of the DC universe. We'll see what that means for Ray Fisher's Cyborg. But yeah, Walter Hamada apparently is quietly stepping away from DC Films this week. Pretty much gone already, not accepting any other jobs with Warner, which tells you his relationship there since the exchange. The now Warner Brothers Discovery. Normally they'll keep you on as like an executive or something for a little bit, but no, not even doing that. So you can see where their strained relationship is. But moving from there, man, things are going on. So biggest news that came out today is that Warner Brothers is intensely working on bringing Henry Cavill back for a Superman sequel. The first news we've had on a Superman film in quite some time. It's been a question mark about who would play Superman. We've heard about the J.J. Abrams Superman film. We've heard about the Michael B. Jordan Superman film. We don't know what was going on, but now the news is broke that Warner's is looking to have Henry Cavill reprise his role as Superman for a Man of Steel 2, which is being produced and is currently in search for writers. I know the name Christopher McQuarrie has been brought up, who's done the Mission Impossible films. He's, of course, worked with Henry Cavill before, but I don't know how well that's going to happen because they're doing the two Mission Impossible films back to back right now. So we'll see. But I mean, there's time. There's no time for when the sequel is expected to even start production or anything like that. More production and shooting and all that stuff and script and all that. So you may have time. Who knows? But that's exciting, man. I've thoroughly enjoyed Henry Cavill Superman. Can't wait to see anything Superman related with Henry Cavill. I'm very excited that they're moving that world. James Gunn, who of course did the Suicide Squad film and the Peacemaker show, currently working on Peacemaker season 2. He is apparently working on another new project with DC and even more. Sources say that Gunn and producer Peter Safran are in talks with Warner Brothers for a mystery movie, as not like a mystery, not like Knives Out or anything. We don't know what the movie is. Possibly even more stuff that James Gunn could be taking on. It's unclear what he's looking at right now, but again, we do know he's working on Peacemaker season 2 at the moment, which is fantastic. I mean, give him more stuff. He's done fantastic with everything he's touched. Everything he seems to touch is doing great, especially over in DC. The Suicide Squad film was great. Peacemaker, fantastic freaking show. Can't wait for season 2 of that. Moving over to other DC film news, Matt Reeves is taking more. I don't know where I was going with that. Matt Reeves is doing more with Gotham City. We, of course, know that he did the Batman film that came out this year. We know that they're already working on a sequel for that. There's a spin-off with Colin Farrell's Penguin that's in the works. There's still an Arkham Asylum show, I believe, in the works as well from Matt Reeves. Batman story, and now that he is looking to make even more, he's meeting with writers and directors to build out movies, not just series, movies, focus Batman's rogue galleries. And rogue gallery, if you're not aware, that's Batman's villains. So it's both established and obscure villains, and the names that they listed here are Scarecrow, Clayface, and Professor Pig, man. So we've seen Scarecrow recently. He was in the Nolan trilogy. Clayface and Professor Pig, that would be something different. So that'd be cool to see those things span out and see where they end up going. But yeah, dude, give that guy as much Batman stuff that he wants to do. The Batman film is fantastic. Let him work. Superman news I mentioned earlier. J.J. Abrams was working on a Superman project. It's now unclear where that project's going now that Henry Cavill's back. Don't know if J.J. Abrams will be attached to that or not. He is still set to produce a Superman movie, though, it looks like, so we'll see where that ends up going. Well, here we go. Apparently, it would exist outside of any large DC continuity storyline that they're trying to work on. So this would be like Todd Phillips' Joker film, where it's not connected to anything; it's just its own storyline. That's where the J.J. Abrams Superman thing would go if they end up still doing that. He's also working on projects with Constantine and Zatanna that are scrapped over at HBO Max but are still being shopped at other streamers. So he's still, J.J. Abrams is still there, if you're wondering, and they're still working on some things. We'll see where it all ends up going from here. Let's see, Dwayne Johnson, who of course is Black Adam, he's helping build as well, it seems. He's expressed interest in helping guide the search for a DC boss, saying, quote, the best position that I could be for DC is one of an advisor where I can help. I love DC. It's in my blood. In the spirit of growing up with the DC universe, I'm here to help in any way I can, including looking for and finding that right or leaders. Um, so, I mean, that's awesome. You have The Rock, who is one of the most beloved people in Hollywood. He's a huge freaking star. And you have him wanting to help build the DC universe and help everything work out. He's working to shoot, he wants to do a Superman versus Black Adam film, which I'm sure if The Rock wants to do it, they're going to do it. We'll see how Black Adam does this weekend, but all intents and purposes, it seems like things are moving forward and he's going to be a part of that for sure. And talking even more about future DC things, he said, quote, it's the safer bet to continue to invest in the IP that the world knows, the Justice League, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman. I understand that, but it took convincing to get the studio to look past the Justice League into the DC universe, and there are some really cool characters there. You've just got to give it a shot and trust the investment. So, again, The Rock is trying to work and build with DC, man. That just sounds awesome to me. I don't care what anybody has to say. I've loved The Rock forever, and I've enjoyed a lot of his films. And again, I'm super stoked and excited to see what he does with Black Adam and how that goes, and just hearing how he wants to continue building and he's helping build and all that stuff. I think that's a good direction right now. I talked on a recent episode that we know the script for Wonder Woman 3 is being worked on as expected soon. And they announced that a script for a sequel to the Flash film is already written. So, which I guess isn't too surprising because, the film was supposed to come out a while ago and then COVID postponed it. So, they could have already had a script that they've been working on this whole time, but cool to hear. I mean, the movie's not even out, but it's been receiving from people who've watched the film and actually seen the film. It's receiving good test reactions. Now, obviously, there is controversy around the film because of Ezra's drunken actions and allegations that have been put against Ezra, who pleaded not guilty today to was it home invasion or something like that, and stealing alcohol, pleading not guilty to that. So we'll see where that ends up going. If he's convicted, he could be facing 26 years in prison, or could be 26 years in prison. So obviously, he would not be doing the Flash film, at least the sequel, or even I assume the film would 100% be scrapped if that happens. But at the moment, doesn't seem to be happening. And again, without it's all allegations at this point, and being a drunken idiot is something that a lot of people have done in their life. So can't hate a person for being a drunken idiot. You just gotta hope they get better, and that's what they've been working on. So, yeah, sequel to the Flash film already written. It's pretty awesome. All right, that's the DC news. Jumping over to some horror talk. David Gordon Green, who of course just talked about his Halloween film. I've talked about it a couple times on the show. He's making an Exorcist film. He finally kind of got some talking from him about the film, saying, quote, so yeah, we're developing The Exorcist, and Ellen Bernstein is along with an amazing cast. Ellen, of course, from the original Exorcist film. Everything's coming together in the script. I'm really excited about, end quote. Goes on to say, technically, it's an extraordinarily different film from Halloween. I guess it's in the subgenre of horror, but dramatically, I'm approaching it very academically. So we'll see. It's bringing a lot of the same team together in terms of our makeup and effects team, our cinematographer, but at the same time, we're bringing in a new group as well to complement and evolve in a different way and to make sure it doesn't feel redundant or repetitive. Now, of course, this is an Exorcist trilogy that is being developed as a remake rather than or not as a remake. Excuse me. This is this is a trilogy for The Exorcist that is not a remake, rather serves as a direct sequel to the original. So pretty much exactly what they did with Halloween. Remember those three films were a direct sequel to the original. This is going to be a direct sequel to The Exorcist. I'm into it, man. I've grown to have a new love for the Exorcist film over the years. When I saw it when I was younger, I was like, ah, this isn't scary. But as I've gotten older and appreciated film more and studied film and all that stuff more, I understand the love for the Exorcist film and the things that are going on with that movie and what makes it scary and all that stuff. So can't wait to see where they go with that. Heather Langenkamp. I teased Freddy Talk earlier. Here we go. Heather Langenkamp has talked about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise because obviously she was the final girl of that movie. She was Nancy. And of course, she's always going to be talked about that movie, whether she's promoting something else or not. And she gave some interesting quote here saying, quote, if Nancy could fight Freddy one last time, I would really like that, end quote. Quote, gosh, I'd love to see a future in that. I've been really watching the Halloween saga that's been out, and I love watching Jamie Lee Curtis get to play that part. You know, this age where I think we have so much to give to those storylines, but yeah, I wish I was in control of that. But unfortunately, it's one of those Hollywood very complicated things. So, end quote. So, why not? You know, I mean, obviously, we just saw the conclusion of the Halloween story with Laurie. I mean, Nancy's up there. She's not on Laurie level, of course, but Nancy's one of those final girls. You can have a debate whether it's Nancy or Sydney that you like more. I lean more towards the Nancy side. But why not? I mean, there's nothing going on with Nightmare on Elm Street right now, so if you want to do one more battle between Nancy and Freddy, why not? I mean, what do you got to lose? You know, I mean, you probably want to start a new franchise and all that stuff, but you know, hey, freaking give it to Blumhouse and David Gordon Green. Let them do a trilogy as well. Fuck it, why not? You know, why not? But I don't see any reason why not. Like I said, Laurie Strode's back. Sydney was back for the last Scream movie. It's not going to be in the new one unless they're fooling everybody. That Sally girl from Texas Chainsaw Massacre was back this year as well. So yeah, I mean they're doing the final girl thing. They're bringing them all back. So why not give Heather Langenkamp again? She's a top final girl, right? So why not give her the chance? Right now, she is on Mike Flanagan's The Midnight Club on Netflix. So there you go. Go over there, check that out, and give some support there. Let's see. I think I have three more things to talk about here. Then I'll get you all out of here. First one to talk about is Brendan Fraser was talking the Mummy franchise recently, and this got sent to me because people were trying to needle me, but backfired on you. So Brendan Fraser was talking about the Mummy franchise, said that, quote, I don't know how it would work, but I'd be open to do it if someone came up with the right concept. Um, I'm not against it. I mean, Brendan, I don't know how his back is. I don't know, what. Of course, there's movie magic that you can do with films and all that stuff. So, if you wanted to go back to that world, cool. Um, but he was also asked about the 2017 Mummy film that stars Tom Cruise, which I love that movie. That's another movie that's panned, but has gotten a better reaction from people lately who've been watching it because people love Tom Cruise now. When that movie came out, people hated Tom Cruise. Now people are loving Tom Cruise, and I'm sure Top Gun Maverick helped with that a lot. But people have turned around on Tom Cruise. Um, but yeah, that movie, I don't know what its critic scores and how much it's changed and all that stuff. I don't care. But that movie made like $400 million, and it's considered a flop. It's insane. It's insane. But you think about how much the movie cost and all that stuff, and you're like, okay. But at the same time, we're gonna get into that later. But he was asked about that movie, and he said, "quote It's hard to make that movie. The ingredient that we had going for our Mummy, which I didn't see in that film, was fun. That was what was lacking in that incarnation. It was too much of a straight ahead horror movie. The Mummy should be a thrill ride, which it is at Universal Studios. He didn't say that, but it would have been amazing if he did say that. It's more of a thrill ride, but not terrifying and scary. I know how difficult it is to pull it off. I tried to do it 3 times." And that just made me happy hearing that quote because that's what I've been screaming for years. Is that Tom Cruise's Mummy film is vastly different from Brendan Fraser's Mummy film because Brendan's is more of a comedy. Not a straightforward comedy. Like there's a lot of action in that movie. And yes, there is a lot of action in the Brendan Fraser movie. Um, but Tom Cruise's movie is more of a horror film. And I've been screaming that since that movie's come out. And people don't get that. They're like, oh no, it's Mission Impossible with a mummy. Fucking no, it's not. Is there action scenes in it? Yes. Are there more action scenes in this movie than there is the Brendan Fraser film? I don't think so. I haven't sat down and really put the numbers together, but I don't think so. Um, and then recently seeing the original Mummy for the first time, I've already forgotten it. I've already forgotten it. Sorry. Um, I don't know. The hate that movie gets, I will never understand because it is a solid horror movie. Um, but yeah, I just loved hearing him say it was just like that was my favorite part. It's too much of a straight ahead horror movie. I'm like, yeah, it is a horror movie for sure. It's definitely a horror movie. But I'll be here if they do another movie with Brendan. I like Brendan. I'm glad he's getting his renaissance right now. And gonna go ahead and say, go ahead and do another Mummy movie. Put both of them in it. Fucking why not? Why not? What do you get? Come on, it'll be fun. All right, two articles I want to go over before I leave y'all on this episode, man. All right, so came across these two articles that got my attention. One was sent to me by my brother. I'll tell you when I get to that one. But the first one I saw was Martin Scorsese is, talking, and he has an opinion, and some people don't like his opinions. Most recently, his opinion about Marvel movies they didn't like. Can't necessarily say I disagreed with him, but um, this one is about the box office, and again, can't say I necessarily disagree with Martin Scorsese here. So he said, quote, since the 80s, there's been a focus on numbers. It's kind of repulsive. The cost of a movie is one thing. I understand that a film costs a certain amount. They expect it to at least get that amount back. The emphasis is now on numbers, costs, the opening weekend, how much it made in the US, how much it made in England, how much it made in Asia, how much it made in the entire world, how many viewers it got. As a filmmaker and as a person who can't imagine life without cinema, I always find it very insulting. I've always known that such considerations have no place at the New York Film Festival, and here's the key also with this there are no awards here. You don't have to compete, you just have to love cinema here, which is what it should be about. You should love film, right? Um, Obviously, your business, you're making movies, you want to make money. If you make more money than the film made to make, bonus, right? Edgar Wright, another director, another filmmaker people enjoy. He had some thoughts on this as well, saying, quote, I've said this to other filmmakers since who've maybe had a similar initial reaction to a film like Scott Pilgrim did, is that the 3-day weekend is not the end of the story for any film. People shouldn't buy into that idea. Rating films by their box office is like the football fan equivalent to films. Most of my favorite films that are considered classics today were not considered hits in their time. You can point to hundreds of classic movies, whether it's Citizen Kane or Blade Runner or The Big Lebowski. So how a film does in its first 3 days is never the end of your story. And further, we get away from that discourse about box office numbers being the totality of a movie, the better, which I 100% agree with. I don't think the box office of a movie is any indication that the movie itself is good. It just means people went to see the freaking thing. You know, like I've never followed that philosophy. Like, oh, this artist sold this many records. That means it just means people bought the damn thing. It doesn't mean it's great. And of course, there's different opinions and different feelings for everybody and all that stuff about what they're into music wise or what they're into movie wise, so they'll go see it. Like people will go see these Marvel movies, even though they're pretty much a lot of them are cookie cutter same film, just change up things. They'll go see them because of the name on it, and it's like, oh, it's a story. We gotta go watch it. We gotta continue all this stuff and all that. Fine, whatever. I'm just saying, don't look at a movie based on its box office and say that movie is good or bad. It's just a matter of, and this is a world where people literally are afraid to have their own opinions and their own thought process. People will look at a review on a Rotten Tomatoes and they'll be like, oh, it's getting bad reviews. I'm not going to watch the movie. The movie immediately sucks. That's not the case. The movie could be good. It's just more based on what you're into. But that's why when I do my reviews, I never, ever, even with last week's episode with Jeepers Creepers Reborn, which was just an abysmal movie for me, I didn't tell you ever to not watch the movie. I never tell somebody not to watch a movie because it's just insane. Who am I to tell you to not watch a movie? I'm going to tell you what I felt watching it, and if that decides to make you not want to see the movie, then that's the case. But I'm never going to tell you not to watch a movie because that's just insanity. I mentioned before, I love Tom Cruise's The Mummy movie. If I would have listened to any of the reviews of that movie, I would have never seen it. I love the Chucky franchise. You know how many people have told me, Chucky, oh, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. A killer doll, that's a ridiculous concept. Stupid movie. You shouldn't watch it. That's ridiculous. I don't care. I love the film franchise. I love it to death. It's a good, fun time for me. It was my introduction to horror, and I support it all the time. I don't care what other people think. And I think that's what I would like to see. I'm right there with Edgar Wright, where it's like, we got to get rid of this idea that box office is what makes a movie total. Like, no, dude. Like, box office is nice. It makes money for the movie and all that stuff. Cool. But, like, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't mean the movie's good or bad. It just means people went to see the thing. Now, of course, it's word of mouth, and if somebody's, again, people are afraid to like make decisions for themselves. Word of mouth, will get people like, oh, if it's a good movie, they're gonna go to theaters to see it, or if it's a bad movie, it's like, oh, we're not gonna go see it. Like, just see the movie. If you're interested in it, watch it. If it sucks, it freaking sucks. I was interested in seeing Jeepers Creepers Reborn. It sucked, but I watched it nonetheless. God, I'm railing on Jeepers Creepers 2 weeks in a row. Jeez, it deserves it. Freaking movie. Even my brother railed on that movie, and he doesn't even do movie talk on his show, and he railed on it. He does do movie talk every now and then, but it's like music movies. But I don't know, man. I've never let's look at the all-time box office right now. Let's look at this real quick. So, I already love this idea that I went here. All right, so this is Box Office Mojo by IMDb Pro. Top lifetime grosses. And this is all time overall, is what I'm looking at. That's what I'm clicked on right now. Worldwide is the drop down. Number one is freaking Avatar. Okay, Avatar is number one, which a lot of 3D tickets sold that. And of course, the movie's been re-released in theaters. It was re-released recently in theaters because a new one's about to come out. That's number one. I don't think that movie is fantastic by any means. I don't think it's a great movie, and it's the number one movie of all time. Number two is Avengers Endgame. That's a far better movie in my opinion than Avatar. Titanic is a better movie than Avatar. The Force Awakens is a better movie than Avatar. Infinity War is a better movie than Avatar. No Way Home is a better movie than Avatar. Jurassic World is a better movie than Avatar. All those movies. Number 8 on this list. This is where I'm going to prove to you box office does not mean a movie is good. Number 8 on this list is The Lion King. Not the cartoon, the freaking 2019 live action movie that pretty much everybody has panned. All right? Not the whole world. There's people that probably enjoy that movie, which is fine. That's cool. But that movie is not good. Okay? It is not good. Again, make your own opinions in seeing it, but that is not a good movie. It is not good, but a lot of people went to see it. Why? Because The Lion King was a part of their childhood. They're like, oh, they're making a live action version of The Lion King. We're all going to see that movie. And that's how box office works. People go see the movie, it makes money. So they're like, oh, The Lion King. I love that movie when I was a kid. They're making a live action movie. I gotta go. And that's how it made all its money. Then after they saw the movie, like, what the fuck? There you go. That's the end of the story right there, man. End of the story right there. Okay, let's see. And this episode's going long. The other thing we had here is Christopher Landon. If you don't know who that is a filmmaker. He most recently did Freaky, which is a really good movie. I like that movie a lot. He is talking because of Halloween Ends, and the reason he's talking about Halloween Ends is not because of the movie itself. It's because of the release of the movie. He's not a fan of movies releasing same day they're in theaters, saying, quote, oh, I feel another rant coming on today. It's the day and date release strategy for Halloween Ends. Stop doing this, please. It doesn't work. Studios, stop gambling with the filmmakers and their movies to try and prop up your fledgling streaming services. This happened to me on Freaky, and it destroyed us. We worked so hard to make a fun movie, blood, sweat, and tears, months away from our families, and for what? They love to use the term two bites at the apple, but that's just another way of saying we're going to use your movie as a guinea pig for our streaming service. Continues on saying, sorry, I begged the studio not to do this. Either circle the wagons and protect it for theatrical, or just go all in on streaming. Don't split hairs. At least the Halloween folks were made whole. What? At least the Halloween folks were made whole. We got hosed. So yeah, bitter subject. PTSD. Dear studios, stop trying to suck two dicks at the same time. Honor the sanctity of theatrical experience. End of rant. Well, that's a take. It's definitely a take. Now, he said PTSD there, and the thing with Freaky is Freaky came out in 2020. Like, I think it came out the month before everything shut down. Because the movie was put on streaming like a month after it was released. So it was very quick. Because people were worried. I remember that. And theaters shut down for a while and all that stuff. So they rushed Freaky to get streaming release and all that. I think it still made like, at that time, again, where theaters were shut and everything, I think it still made $9 million. So yeah, just looking it up here, it made $9 million, and this was again around the time COVID was starting to really get insane in 2020, on a budget of $6 million. So the movie made money. I don't know, it's a weird thing. Let's see, Halloween Ends doing the streaming day and release. Got 43.3 million opening weekend. It was tracked to make 50 million. Let's see, and it is less money than Halloween Kills made, which Halloween Kills made 49.4 million, but that movie was also day and date release, so still making money. I don't know, man. I don't have a problem with streaming. Like again, I watched both of them. I didn't see either one of them in theaters, to be honest with you. I watched Kills and Ends both at home. And I was perfectly fine with it. And this is somebody who, I do love the movie theater experience. I like going to theaters. With that said, I haven't been to a theater in quite some time. Black Adam's the first movie I've seen in months. Actually, I haven't seen a movie in theaters since Bullet Train. I double check my Regal app on that one. Checking. Yeah, Bullet Train's the last movie I saw. Wow, Bullet Train. And that movie came out, what, August? You could just look at my ticket. They have your past purchases here. Let's see. Yeah, August, the beginning of August. So yeah, I haven't been to the movie theater since Bullet Train came out, which that movie's hitting home viewing this week, I believe. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I understand it. You make a movie for theatrical release, and then you see it released on streaming the same day, so it gives people the option of not going to see your movie in theaters, which may take money away from you. So I get it. I get it's tough, but also, what can you do? That's somebody who's worried about box office. It sounds like, that sounds like box office worries there. I don't know. Nonetheless, let's end this episode. All right, this episode's been going on for a while. I need to go to sleep. Y'all probably need to go. Probably like, dude, you were talking over an hour. What is going on? I talked more about Halloween Kills than I expected, but things happen. It is what it is. Again, go to Throw Me Podcast Network YouTube, please. Check out Zach and Brooks' awesome take on Halloween Ends. They give you much more detail than I do. They're better at the Halloween franchise than I am. But at the same time, they're freaking awesome people. So please go over there, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share with your friends, all the good stuff. Appreciate you listening to my show and my randomness on this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, man. I'll be back with another episode soon where I'll be talking about freaking Black Adam. So excited. So excited. How about a freaking Funko Pop today? Which I haven't bought one of those in a while either. But I saw the Black Adam Funko Pop. I'm like, yes, give me that. I'm so excited about the Black Adam movie, man. Can't wait to talk about that next episode. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to be back in theater, sitting down, watching that movie, watching it in RPX, big screen, big sound. That's what The Rock deserves. But thank you all for listening to this episode. And remember, oh my God, I can't believe I'm waiting for the end of this episode to do this. Like, it completely blanked on me, and I'm so sorry about that. We lost a freaking big piece of our Wizarding World love since our last episode. Robbie Coltrane sadly passed away since the last time we talked. Of course, mostly known for his role as Hagrid in the Harry Potter films that captivated and, everybody almost in the world loved. Just an absolute great performance as Hagrid, and so sad that he passed away. That one hit me kind of hard. Those celebrity deaths that hit you kind of hard. That one hit me because he's been And I know it's a movie character and people are freaking out. It's like, it's a movie character. Why y'all? Like, people, honestly, this lets you know how shitty the world is. Like, people went to the Universal theme park, the one in Orlando, and it probably happened in California as well. And like, there's a thing in the Wizarding World where when one of them dies, you raise your wand up. And people went to the castle in Orlando and they did that. They rose their wand up in celebration and in memory of Robbie Coltrane, who played Hagrid. They're like, "What are you doing? It was a character. He's a real person. You should be like, dude, let people freaking celebrate the life of somebody who passed away. Okay, anyways, he's of course did other movies and all that stuff. He's a part of my life because of Hagrid and always will be. He's just an absolutely great performance. I saw the ride. I haven't watched the Hagrid ride. I haven't been on the Hagrid ride. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to ride that. But I saw a video today, and I've avoided videos, but I had to watch this one because it was a tribute to Robbie. They put some flowers in front of the Hagrid animatronic, which good on Universal for doing that. Big, bucket of win, as they say to him. Or a great career, fantastic career. I'd say a big bucket of win on Hollywood Babylon, and yeah, man, that was sad. Like, that one hit me and was stuck with me for a while, because he's part of my childhood, man. These Harry Potter films raised a lot of people. A lot of us watched these movies when we were younger, and Hagrid was our thing, man. So there is no Hogwarts without you, Hagrid, and Robbie Coltrane, rest in peace. And as I always close out the show with the Wizarding World quote, because it's impacted my life, and I say it to hopefully help others. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.
Thank you for joining me this week. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to get updates on all new episodes. As well, follow me on Twitter at review_it_Rob. Stay tuned for more adventures.